And welcome back to Straight Talk. We have less than a half a year before Oregonians cast their votes to determine who will represent their party in the 2026 general election. Candidates running to be the next governor of Oregon are looking to make their case, including State Senator Christine Drazan. Drazan announced her bid for governor in late October, pitting her against Marion County Commissioner Danielle Bethel to be the face of the Republican Party next year. Senator Drazan announced her run for governor days after being appointed to a vacant seat in the Oregon Senate, left by former Senate Minority Leader Daniel Bonham. Prior to that, she served as Minority Leader in the Oregon House of Representatives while representing District 51 out of Canby. Drazan is also seeking a rematch of the closely contested 2022 race against current Governor Tina Kotek. Senator Drazan, thanks so much for being with us today on Straight Talk. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to have you here. Well, let's get right to it. What's your number one issue that you think needs to be addressed in the state of Oregon right now?
We have got to fix affordability. Oregonians across our state are struggling. I mean, we know this is true. This state is one of the most bountiful, beautiful places across America. And yet people are leaving. And they're leaving not because they don't love oceans, not because they don't love to go skiing on the weekends, but because they can't afford to buy a house here, because they can't afford to pay for utilities, insurance, rent, all of it is just through the roof. Food prices here are more expensive than other places in the nation. And so we have got to figure out how we are going to hold the line on taxes, how we can roll back taxes, and how we can listen to Oregonians again. So number one, I am running for governor because I believe that our state can be the best place in the nation to raise a family and start your business and learn a trade and get a world-class education, but we have to fix affordability.
And we could talk about that for this entire segment, but give me one thing that you think needs to happen to make affordability better.
That absolutely is the regulatory environment in Oregon. Sounds super wonky, but we have got to fire some bureaucrats, and we have got to roll back some of these rules and regulations that don't serve people and just grow the fat when it comes to Oregon government.
All right, let's talk about a battle cry issue for Republicans right now, which is transportation spending.
Yes.
The special session produced what Democrats describe as a kind of stopgap spending bill for ODOT. Governor Kotek signed it recently. Republicans call it a huge tax on Oregonians, and we reported this week that you've gathered half the signatures necessary now, more than half, to get the issue on the ballot. Let voters decide on this. Let them weigh in. Where is this going? What's your take?
Yeah, I think what you just described was a perfect example of Democrat gaslighting, in particular Tina Kotek just not listening to Oregonians. You can't call this stopgap. It's a tax. And so what we're doing is we're telling Oregonians the truth. This is a tax. It's going to cost more. Do you want to have the final say? That's what the signature gathering effort is all about, giving Oregonians a chance to vote on this in November, up or down. Is this the right solution to this problem? And from my perspective, when I was leading House Republicans, we identified ways for them to balance its budget without raising taxes. And so I am tired of hearing Tina Kotek talk about how much she cares about affordability when the actual actions that she takes as governor go the other direction every single time. So Oregonians deserve to vote on this thing. And they are coming out in droves to sign these petitions, and it's going to be on the ballot. And I think that that's the right thing to happen.
Thanks for that. Well, so far, you have one primary opponent. I guess others could join in still, right? It's still open to get in on the primary. But Marion County Commissioner Danielle Bethel, who supported you in your first run for governor, Bethel says, unlike you, she has executive experience as a commissioner and a small business owner. What's your response to remarks made by her that maybe say you don't have that executive experience to lead?
I think that there is no question that this race is about leadership. And I have stood toe-to-toe with Tina Kotek every single day throughout my legislative career. I have absolutely led, and I have stood up for Oregonians in a way that few other politicians across our state have had the privilege and opportunity to do. And I'm telling you, I have the scars to prove it. And so I absolutely am anxious to get to the general election, because the real issue here is that Tina Kotek's leadership is failed leadership for Oregonians. They know it, I know it, you know it. If you look back over her track record in the last 3 years, we know that on every single metric, I don't care, pick your topic, she has made Oregon worse It's impossible to imagine that we could actually go backwards under Tina Kotek, but she has managed to achieve that. And so I'm anxious to get to the general election, and I'm anxious to have this conversation with Oregonians about what do you want for your future? Because what I want a big vision for our future where people can buy a home, the home of their dreams, where people can get a world-class education, and where we can control costs and let Oregonians live their best lives. That's not what Tina wants. Tina wants control. Tina wants higher taxes. Tina wants more government. Tina's priorities are misplaced. They're not the priorities of Oregonians. And we saw that this week, just as recently as this week. We were just talking about the gas tax referendum. Just this week, she announced an executive order that will increase gas prices 20 cents a gallon when it is fully implemented. We are talking about someone that is so tone deaf that she thinks that if she just uses the words affordability that folks will believe her. It's just not true. The reality for how we're all living right now and how we're feeling, we know how expensive things are. And instead of listening to Oregonians, she made the decision to sign an executive order that's going to drive up costs for everything we do in our state, for prices at the gas pump, for our utility costs, and that has been a sore subject for Oregonians right now. How do I pay for electricity? She's making it worse, and she just did it.
And yet, she's the governor. She beat you last time around.
Yeah.
Why a go again? And what will you do to beat her this time? I guess.
I love this question because we have got to demand accountability from her. She doesn't deserve a second term. And I absolutely am committed to being the one to lead our state in response to Oregonians themselves and fight for the things that they believe and they want. I am a lifelong Oregonian. This is my place. I love this place. I love the people of this state. I love everything about it. I want Portland to be Portland. I want Roseburg to be Roseburg. And I want to respect differences across our state. Tina doesn't want to do that. Tina wants everyone to live by her agenda and her standards. She wants everything to be more expensive, and all she cares about is Portland. Now, we have got to fix Portland. We've got to improve Portland, but since she's been governor, we've seen a 67% increase in homeless people living on the streets of Multnomah County. While she's going around talking about everything that she plans to do for housing, she somehow hasn't translated that into getting people off the streets.
Right.
And so there is nothing about where our state sits right now that we absolutely should be proud of. We have to choose a different path here, and I'm ready to lead on day one.
And we should be sure to say that Governor Kotek has not officially announced that she's running for a second term, but it sure seems like a foregone conclusion, and you're obviously already running against her right now as we talk.
Well, if we're going to have this conversation with Oregonians, we've got to not waste a moment. Because we're talking about I'm talking about asking people, look at your lives. This isn't partisanship. This isn't about asking for a party to lose. This is asking if Oregonians want to win. Do you want a better future? You're not getting it with this lady. She has failed on every metric. This is the best she can do. This is all she's got, and it's not good enough. So I want to have the opportunity to serve Oregonians and fight for a better future.
Let's talk about public education now. When it comes to public education, Democrats may argue Republicans are concerned about costs, but don't bring solutions to the table to improve outcomes. What do you say to that? And what would you do to improve public education?
Yeah, we have got to get politics out of the classroom. We have got to remove disruptive kids. Right now, I talked to a teacher last night. I had a volunteer event last night, and there's a local teacher that came up to me, and she's a music teacher, and she was telling me, I am not safe in my own classroom. They have tied the hands of teachers even to be able to take kids that are dangerous or violent and take them out of their classroom. Instead, the rest of the class has to suffer through it. They are less safe, and they're certainly not getting a strong education when kids that are disruptive kids can't be dealt with. We have got to have accountability. We have to have high expectations of students, and we have to give teachers the opportunity to be the authority that allows them to say, you have to go. And so we have to make our classroom safe again. We've got to get the money into the classroom. So that means we cut the bureaucracy. I mean, I talk a lot about the regulatory environment for business, the regulatory environment for people that are trying to build something in our state. You shouldn't have to get a permit to get a permit. But when it comes to our classrooms, they are buried in bureaucracy, We have got to cut the fat in our administration, our schools. We've got to get the money into the classrooms, give teachers the ability to keep those classrooms safe, get disruptive kids out of the classroom, and return our high standards. Let's restore graduation requirements. Let's restore graduation requirements. Let's have high expectations for our classes and high expectations for our kids.
Okay, I'm interested in hearing from you now on a national issue affecting Oregon in a pretty big way right now, and that is immigration enforcement. In particular, the actions of ICE in the state. How do you feel about that and how it's going?
Yeah, if someone has committed a crime, they shouldn't be here. If they are here and they are not documented and they commit crimes, they have to go. They have to go. Oregonians deserve to have safe communities and safe neighborhoods. I think we can all agree that for the people that have committed crimes, that they have got to go.
Yet it seems that ICE, from accounts that we're seeing and reporting on, is doing more than that and taking people who have not committed crimes other than being in the country without documentation.
You know, a lot of that has to do with the approach that Tina Kotek has taken to law enforcement with Oregon. The fact that they can't even let ICE know that someone is being released from jail on bail, that is part of this problem. If we're not even letting law enforcement communicate with law enforcement when it relates to criminal activity, that's creating an environment where the folks that are actually in charge of immigration, and it's not our local police have their hands full making sure that our communities are safe and enforcing Oregon's laws. That should be their focus. But if we're talking about somebody's committed a crime and they're being released from jail, they should be able to communicate with other law enforcement agencies. That is not too much to ask.
Just have a little bit of time left, maybe 30 seconds to answer this question. How do you feel about the initiative efforts to open Oregon's primary elections?
Oh, I'm really interested to see how that progresses. I know that fewer and fewer Oregonians are affiliating with a party. And I think that we need to have an opportunity to talk to all voters as early as possible. But that has to be balanced with the fact that the parties get to choose their own nominee.
Great. Thank you so much, State Senator Christine Drazan, gubernatorial candidate on the Republican side here in Oregon. Really appreciate you coming and talking with us today.
Thank you.
All right.